Kero. I don't know why, but I can't get out of my head the idea that Kero would be the perfect name for a Muppet. Miss Piggy, Kermit, Kero, Gonzo would just be great. But this is not what the game is about. The game is Mad Max the Dice game with less violence, but that is still the general idea. The general idea being the game is set in a post-apocalyptic, mainly desertic world in which there is a community of people that are trying to look for new viable territories, and so they are doing the things that you do in that kind of situation, in particular looking for fuel for your trucks and for your cars and to send out your explorers. However, differently from a lot of post-apocalyptic games, there isn't the violent element. This is definitely a game that is family friendly, at least from the point of view of the theme. It is a game for 2 players only, and that's a little strange for, let's say, for a game this big. Usually I tend to identify games that are only for 2 players as fillers when you get to this commitment to production, and you will see the game is committed to production. Usually you want to give players a little more flexibility, but this is not the case. This is a 2-player game that has the production of a 2 to 5 player games. In any case, let's see how Kero plays. The game is played on this board, which is used to organize the various components and the various resources that you will acquire during the game. Each turn you will roll at least these 5 dice, plus you may be able to roll 1, 2, or 3 of these dice. You need to have special abilities or to spend resources to get those extra special dice. You will roll your dice a number of times, and then you will spend the symbols that you rolled to acquire resources. This is the general idea. You have this truck here, which is an hourglass, and it's certainly a flashy and not a little bit gimmicky component. What happens here is that when you're rolling dice at the beginning of your turn, you can roll your dice as many times as you want, but as you do it, you have to place that one vertically, and so you're spending fuel. If this compartment here of the hourglass is completely empty while you're still rolling, too bad, the turn is over and you wasted your turn. You don't get to do anything with your dice. The other player takes their turn, but at least next time you will get pretty much a free refuel. So you will want to refuel from time to time so you don't have to waste a turn. To refuel, you will spend a jerry can, which is a resource that can be used to buy several things. With the jerry can, you refuel once. With 2, you get to refuel twice in a turn. The refueling procedure is as follows. You take your truck, which we assume at the point will be partially depleted. We're depleting it a little bit for the sake of example. So you take it, and then you simply start refilling it. As you do so, the other player rolls all the 8 dice in the game. All 8, and sets aside all results that show a flame. Just like so. Roll, 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 roll. And there you go. When the naughty player has rolled all flames, you had to stop. So even though you may not be fully refueled, you had to stop. If only 1 die doesn't show a flame, then if that die, you start counting. If that die is rolled 5 times without showing a flame, then the non-active player can set it to a flame automatically, which makes sense. Otherwise it can be really annoying if you just keep rolling this die and nothing happens. So basically this gives you a timer, which is a little bit of uncertain. You don't know exactly how much time you have to refuel, and that's why sometimes you may want to do it twice. But frankly, in practice, in actuality, we notice that with 2 jerry cans it's almost impossible not to fuel it up. So actually our variant is, if you play 2 jerry cans, you just get to refuel entirely. You don't need to roll, because it's just annoying when, in any case, you're probably gonna refuel entirely anyways. So back to us. It's the beginning of your turn. You roll those dice. Maybe you spent a jerry can to get one of these special dice. Maybe you have a special ability from a previous turn that gives you those dice. So you roll all the dice that you're allowed to roll, and again, reroll, taking as much time as you want or can. At a certain point, you may be satisfied with your rolls. If you roll fire, fire symbols, you set them aside and you cannot use them. Then all of the symbols that you rolled, which were not fire, you get to spend. How do you do so? Well, you can spend, again, symbols and or jerry can once you're done rolling. For 2 jerry cans, you can get one of these tokens that will give you different abilities, but also very discontinuous. Some excellent, some so situational that are almost worthless. Here you have a line of cards. They come out of this deck. And simply, this is at the bottom is the cost. For example, oh look, this one I acquire with 3 wheat and 1 jerry can, and 3 wheat and 1 jerry can is exactly what I have. So I can get that card and I put it in my personal area. This card incidentally gives me a special ability which has infinite length. It lasts infinitely, which is I get the blue die. I get the blue special die for free every turn. Very powerful ability, especially if you get it early on, especially if you get several of those. Here I get the special magic ability of turning wheat into jerry cans. Here I get to send 2 explorers to the new territory. So basically you get these cards. Another thing about the cards is that the deck is seated so that there are 3 end of rounds cards in it. There's a section which is starting cards, and then in the main deck you have 3 end of rounds cards. At the end of each you get to score who has the majority in those territories, and when the third and last card shows up, then the game is over. So the deck also is the countdown clock for the end of the game. So you can use game effects such as this one to send your explorer tokens to these territories. You can also spend a person symbol and a gear symbol to perform the action of sending one of your explorers to these territories. The explorers have nice portraits, but that is simply a decoration. It doesn't have game effects. And these territories will give you different effects. Usually they will give you victory points. The numbers that you see on those barrels are victory points. This one doesn't have any special ability, but if at the end of the round you have majority there, you take the tile and you score those points. Other tiles will give you points based on different things. For example, this one gives you 1 point plus 2 if you have a set of 3 different cards. 3 different cards, meaning 3 different types from this line here. So you're collecting these cards not only because of the effects that you want to have immediately, but also because they may allow you to form sets that then will work together with the territories. Something else that is important about the dice, if during your turn you rolled at least 2 flames, then one of the cards is also discarded. And so between the cards that are discarded and between the cards that are purchased, there will be gaps here. You slide down the remaining cards and you refill the line from the deck. This is pretty much how it works. Again, from time to time you refuel, you roll dice to produce symbols, you purchase cards, tokens, place people on those tiles, continue like this until the end of the game, and at that point you collect points from the territories, from the cards. These cards also may give you points, and at that point the player with the highest total is the winner of the game. Games can have pluses, minuses, and then they can have a more ineffable, hard to define quality, which is lack of pluses, which is not quite the same as a minus or a negative. Kero has a little bit of all 3, pluses, minuses, and lack of further pluses. And so I can already tell you my impressions are mixed. It's funny, after I played it I was like, that's not bad. And then after playing it again and thinking about it, my opinion became more and more mixed. Now, starting from the pluses, the general idea is pretty fun. I personally like dice game in which, well, you roll under pressure and you then use your icons to purchase resources, to trigger actions. Recently played an Italian game, Il Gioco di Tex, based on an Italian comic book that has that same idea. The Three Little Pigs game that I adore has the same idea. And it's just a mechanic, just an idea that has a lot of flexibility as you push your luck when you're rolling the dice, and more flexibility later when you're spending your resources. So I like that idea very much. It's fun here. As you're trying, of course, you're going fast and try to optimize. I don't want to spend too much time, but these symbols good enough, etc., etc. It's a nice, tense decision there. And then, of course, you have different strategies, or do you? Because of the end, since you were rolling under pressure, sometimes there isn't much that you can do. You have one main thing that you can do, or maybe one thing that you can do total. There is the limitation there, but again, in other cases, you can do several things. Also, there is the resource management aspect, in which you're deciding how you want to use your jerry cans. I can get those tokens, I can buy those extra dice, etc., etc., etc. All of these things that I like. Then when you get to the minuses, it's just that the execution of these ideas that seem pretty strong somehow is lacking. For example, yes, I like the tension of, oh my gosh, I need to roll before. But then in truth, after we get excited, then we realize that that wasn't nearly as much of a danger as we expected. I don't think we ever had a case in which a player had to skip their turn, because you can really get a sense when you're almost done, you say stop, and then you're done. As for refueling, if you spend 2 jerry cans, almost certainly, I mean for sure you'll be able to refuel the whole truck, and then you're just staying there and waiting. And also, when you're refueling with only 1 jerry can, you get to refuel a lot. It needs to, you need to be very lucky as the player that is trying to roll the flames for that to really be, oh my gosh, he didn't get to refuel almost at all, and so he's now in trouble. So there is this whole engine, this whole idea, roll the dice, as I'm trying to see, to hope mentally, to push with my telekinetic powers, the sand down. It really turned out to be not exciting as we expected, when you realize that you can almost always refuel a lot, and when you're rolling dice is very hard to mess up. So, well, there was that. That was fairly disappointing. The various options that you have don't seem to be born equal, because rolling an extra die is virtually almost always better than getting a token. That at least is our impression, those special action tokens, because they're so situational. But an extra die almost always will give you something good. Yes, you may roll a flame, but still, it's an extra die. Come on, it's just worth investing in that one. There is something else, alas, which is the most complicated things for me to talk about, which is the lack of further pluses. It's just playing the game, when you balance the pluses and the minuses, and sometimes you're like, okay, but the minuses, yeah, are there, but the game is still so exciting. The game is good. It's somewhere between okay and good. It's just that somehow it misses something. Again, it's like a dish that is cooked and just a little bit of salt is missing. It's not that it's bad, it tastes bad. It just doesn't taste interesting or exciting. It lacks that whatever ineffable quality of excitement. I never had the tingling down the spine. The first couple of turns, yes, when I thought that in fact rolling fast mattered. And again, in our experience, doesn't really all that much. Somehow, when all is said and done, the experience felt a little bit bland. I don't know what to say. There are other games with the same idea, roll dice and spend the icons, that just do it better. A lot of games that do it better, and they don't feel overproduced, because at the end, those trucks, yes, they look cute, but they also feel a little bit gratuitous in the long run. After a while, we're like, I don't know, I wish there was a simpler way of keeping track of this. And maybe going back to the good old, what if you roll 3 times and then you just have a limited number of rolls. It just felt that the trucks, the hourglasses, convoluted, and without really a payoff in terms of mechanical depth or in terms of excitement. So Kero is not bad, but I don't feel any particularly strong desire to play it again. When I want to play a game of this kind, I have better options, including the Immortal Classic, the Three Little Pigs. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's okay, but didn't make me fall in love. Didn't make the people that I played it with fall in love with. It's okay. It has really nice art, and that's probably the best thing I can say about it. There's nothing in it which is a mortal flaw, but there's also nothing in it that elevates the game over an okay and fairly bland game.